to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Welcome to New Life Live. Chris Williams in for Steve Arterburn today. Love being in the studio with Dr. Alice Benton.
Hi, Chris, and hi, folks. We've been praying for you today, and we hope you have the courage to call if you've thought about it, but you've never called before.
Absolutely. And love being in the studio with Milan Yerkovich.
Hi, Chris. It's great to be with you and Alice, and it's always a joy.
And we also, to start off the show, love Larry Sonnenberg and what he does and how he keeps all of this going. So,
thank you,
Larry,
Chris.
give us an update.
Okay, I got just two or three things as quick as I can. I want to get out of the way so you have the rest of the hour to do what we need to do here. One is we're doing a river cruise in 2020, and I want to encourage people to go now and sign up or go find out about it. Because actually some of there's 78 cabins on this boat. New Life has chartered the entire ship. It's the Rhine River, and it is some of the cabins, class of cabins are selling out. So if you want to get in on this, I just want to encourage you to take a look soon, please. You can go to newlife.com, and it's right on the homepage. There is a banner, and you can click on it and find out a whole lot about that cruise. The other thing is I want to talk a little bit about EMB and how, and this is one of the reasons I want to ask for your support financially. It's things like this that happen on top of what happens at this radio program. A pastor went to a workshop in 2018 because he had a nephew who was 22 years old. And when the nephew was 16 years old, he got an iPhone for his birthday. And it came with accountability software. But by the night that he got, the same day he got the phone, he had figured out the password and it kind of got rid of the accountability software. So in the ensuing years, he had a child out of wedlock, and the relationship ended. Well, his uncle encouraged him to come to Every Man's Battle with him, and it was a great weekend. And after that weekend, the nephew became a Christian. He married the wife of his child, and they're going to church regularly, and they have a great pastor, and they're just experiencing life the way it's more supposed to be, if there is such a thing. And it's just a reminder about God's grace and how one life that is changed can have a ripple effect, not just across horizontally, but vertically with God and downward generationally. So I just want to encourage folks. Help us. If you can make a gift to New Life, we'll give you today a book. It's a devotional, 365-day devotional. Take Your Life Back Day by Day. Steve Arterburn and Dave Stoop wrote it. So I want to encourage you. I want to thank you for giving, everybody who's giving. It makes a difference. We also want you to sign up for Club New Life. That is our regular giving month to month. It makes all the difference in the world. Call us at 800-New-Life. Find out about the gift you'll get when we give you. It's an 8-book set. It's fabulous. And all the benefits, the video library and such that we have there. So thank you.
Larry, thank you again for all that you do and help keeping things move forward. One of the things about that I've been reading is the abundance of God in His creation. And generosity is an expression of that. It's also a participation in it. And so oftentimes in running a nonprofit and running a ministry, it can feel like the money thing or the giving thing can sort of get in the way, but it's actually a part of the spiritual process. It's not like the side thing. It's actually God does something in us and through us as we get to partner and participate in His generosity. So please consider and take action in participating in God's generosity in your life and in our ministry. And we will be right back after this.
My wife asked me for the first time in 2011 if I would consider myself a sex addict, so I signed up. I'd read the Every Man's Battle book, and it was a great book, but the workshop, it was the experience that really was key for me. If they go to EMB, they're going to be in good hands. This is a safe place. They're going to be surrounded by men that simply walk the talk. The weekend leaders that they will go through this workshop with, they'll help them to get to the root of their issues. I've been through a number of well-preached sermons, listened to and read countless books, been to a number of seminars, but EMB for me was a game changer. It truly saved my life. Being in this community, being in this workshop, being around these men will change them if they'll let them. You're going to encounter men that will meet you where you're at, and you will instantly walk into a safe place where they're welcome.
If you're struggling, call us. We don't want you to go on struggling. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams in studio for Steve Arterburn. And again, I have Milan Yerkovich and Dr. Alice Benton. And guys, let's go right to the phone. Let's go to Sherry in Rochester, New York, listening through our Facebook Live. So, Sherry, are you there? Hold on just a second. Sherry, you there?
Yes, I am.
Excellent.
Hi.
What's going on and how can we help you?
I have a question about how to receive amends. I'm divorced about a year from a 34-year marriage to a sex addict. He was a serial adulterer, and it was a very manipulative marriage, and he just wouldn't ever get help. He would try different recovery programs, and he tried SA a few times, and it was just a box-checking thing, and I find that he would always have to get caught. He had no empathy in the marriage, and he admits he doesn't have empathy. He doesn't know how to feel, and I really went through a lot of emotional manipulation with him because he's a nice guy, but he could just lie. But now we've been divorced he's been sober about 10 months. He's going to SA, and he wants to make amends. He feels he's stuck, and he can't continue to heal if he doesn't do this step. And I'm afraid, and I don't know what it means. I don't know if I should let him do this. I don't know if I should be alone with him. I get stuck feeling sorry for him, and I didn't want the marriage to have to end.
Yeah.
But I can't trust him.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I should let him do this, how I should do it, what it means. I don't know.
Well, let me start here, because the ninth step, which is typically the place where we start making amends, is that we do that unless it would cause harm to the person that we're making the amend to. And so maybe you're not ready because it would be too painful. And so he would have to be creative, in which when I'm working with people who are in the recovery process, I'm like, yeah, making that amend would be a bad idea because it would actually continue or increase the pain of the person you've already harmed. So you're going to have to find other creative ways to make an amend there. That's on his part. But on your part, Sherry, is this something that you want?
Deep down, I had always thought like he could really get a handle on this and we could be reconciled. I'm just fearful that it's another manipulative tactic to get me back. And I don't know if it would help because I've never seen empathy. He's never shed one tear of this. He was always caught. But I don't know if it would help me if he's truly trying to get empathy. I don't want to stall his recovery if this is what he
let
needs.
me jump in. One, you're absolutely not responsible for his recovery, so you can take yourself off the hook there. So nothing you do or don't do is going to help or hinder his recovery because it's 100% on him. But secondly, I just want to say this, and then I'm going to turn it over to my co-host here. But An amend is a way to seek forgiveness. It is a confession, is an admission of the harm that has been done. I've harmed you, and I am sorry about that. There is something I would like to do to maybe correct it, but really it's an act of forgiveness. And forgiveness does not constitute trust. It certainly doesn't constitute closeness. And so...
No, it's like we did, through a counselor, years back, do a, full disclosure,
Yeah.
Unless there's more, it's not that I'm not aware of what he's done. I don't know if...
But here's the thing, is like you don't need, this is, an amend should not be a disclosure process. It should not be, here's all the ways in which I've harmed you, or harmed you that you don't even know about. An amend should have boundaries, really strong boundaries around it, of like, no, I have harmed you and I'm sorry for the ways in which I've harmed you.
Because he said he has a whole list of things he can see now that he hasn't seen before, and that I don't know what that means.
But that may not
alone? Do I?
Well, here's where I'll start here. Sherry, I think you need to ask, what do you want to hear and what do you not want to hear? And really just start there. But let me see. Milan, what do you think here?
Well, I think you have to ask the reciprocal questions to him. Ex-husband, what is it that you want to do here? What's your purpose? Why are you coming to me? What does amends mean to you? And then why are you doing this? You suspect there's manipulation, and I would if I were you. But you see, I would ask him what he want. Why is he requesting this, and what does it mean? I would make him define it, and then you decide whether this is what you want to accept or not. Good. And then, as Chris has said, you define your boundaries around that to say, this I will accept and this I will not. If he were to say to you, I realize from my past where I was not seen or known or valued, where I had no self-awareness, I had no other awareness, and I had no way through relationship to resolve my internal pain, and I acted out to relieve my pain and it harmed you, and I ask your forgiveness. I didn't have empathy. If he were to say things like that, that's making an amends, and confession and forgiveness. But it does not mean you have to get back together with him, and I would make that very clear. And Chris said this well. Forgiveness and listening to you doesn't mean I'm opening the door to you again. At least at this point in time. You don't have to tell him when that might be. But trust is something that's earned way over time.
Sister, I feel very protective of you. I think you have been living with heart sickness for a long time, as you kept wondering, is this the time? Is he better yet? Is he better now? Is there hope for our marriage? You make me think about Proverbs 13:12, where hope deferred makes the heart sick. And so the fact that he's reaching out to make amends, I think it's very scary to you, and understandably so.
Yep.
And I think it's sending up red flags, because this has never been trustworthy before. Now, I hope I'm wrong, Sherry, but I don't think he's ready. Something you said really triggered my protectiveness of you. He said, I'm stuck in my recovery process. I don't know how to get unstuck, so I'm going to try to make amends and hope that unsticks me. I don't think that's good motivation. That's not safe for you. And even 10 months of sobriety, it's okay if you decide, no, I need to see more proof of the man you're becoming. I need a therapist to look over the amends that you're making, and the therapist can tell me when you're ready to make amends to me. Therapists do this all the time, where we work through it with somebody and then we let the spouse or the ex-spouse know, nope, not yet, or yes, now's the time, and we do it in the safety of that therapeutic environment. So I hope that you protect yourself until he shows by his actions that he is safe and making an honorable amends to you. It would actually be a gift to him even to say, no, not yet, not until these other things are in place, because that's calling him up into a better level of his own recovery. It would be loving.
Well, I know he's got a lot of amends. We have 8 children, and I know all sons, and they're adults, but he needs to make amends to them too, and he's like wanting to do it with me first.
Well, he may have different choices to make around that, and so again, Sherry, going back to another proverb, is guard your heart, for it's the wellspring of life. That your heart has been damaged in this process pretty severely, and that you still need your boundaries and your protection to healing. And just as we've mentioned, I don't want you to be thinking that an amend is a way back into a marriage or a deeper relationship with you. That's not what it is.
And if you're looking at this as you're the gatekeeper then for the boys, it's okay that you allow yourself to be the first one he makes amends to, but that you set these other things in place to protect both you and then the amends he hopefully makes eventually with the boys. But it's okay to put the brakes on it until you see proof that it's safe.
You know, I love, Alice, what you said, because you said, okay, let's put a referee in the room, somebody that has a lot of training and is very professional. And perhaps if she were to determine who's going to arbitrate this discussion, see, who's going to be there to help with that, and even evaluate if this is the right time for him. But not only does he have to make amends with me there in that therapeutic alliance, but each of my boys should go in by themselves with the protection of that therapeutic alliance as well. So there is someone to guard and help them in that process, because they won't be necessarily as able-bodied or capable. All of us struggle in this area to have capability to withstand conversations. I would really make sure that those amends are done in some sort of a supervised capacity. I love that, Alice. That was really good.
So you hear that, Sherry?
Should it be like a counselor that I have, or
yes, yours?
When we went to counseling before, he could act.
Well, no,
I was wondering if
so Sherry,
it's not good.
You get home field advantage here, so meaning that your safety is the utmost importance, and so it should be someone that you have chosen, your counselor. And I'm going to send you a resource. Some resources we send are in the ballpark, but this one is right spot on for you. This resource is going to help you tremendously understand what's been happening to you, what you're going through, and how to continue the healing process. And that is Intimate Deception by Dr. Sherry Keffer. Sherry's just put together, some amazing research, very well founded and proven, but also just very practical help along the way. So Intimate Deception is coming your way. Sherry, thank you so much for calling in, and we know that you need help and protection and safety to continue your healing process. So with that, let's go to another caller. Let's go to Michelle in Jeffersonville, Indiana, listening on WFIA. Michelle, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Michelle, how can we help you today?
Well, I was, when I heard Alice talk about the holy sandpaper, that really touched me. I have some people in my life that I find very difficult to love. They are family members, but as I've been on hold, I've realized that the problem is not just limited to these two people, but if you start with these two people, they are, one is developmentally disabled. It's my cousin. The other cousin definitely has some limitations. But I am the only family member they have in the area. Their parents have died. The brothers are in other parts of the country, and I'm it. I've been a part of their lives in the past. I've helped them a lot in the past, but I reached a point where I said, I'm done, because I wasn't getting anything out of it, me being very selfish. But I know that that is not what I'm supposed to do. As Alice said, or you said, we're mandated to love. And I know that that is what I'm supposed to do, and yet I avoid I avoid
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like you have a very, very challenging situation with, like you said, people with very limited abilities and relational resources inside themselves to give back. Well, Michelle, we're going to head to a break here pretty soon, but hang on. We're going to get back to you. But I just want to mention a couple of things, and that is Finding Freedom is September 20th in Dallas. If you find yourself stuck in an area of life you just can't figure out or get over, keep recycling the same problems over and over, Finding Freedom. Also, if you are experiencing this in your marriage, if you're in your marriage, you're just like, man, we just seem to circle the same argument mountain over and over and over again. Intimacy in Marriage, October 25th in Columbus, Ohio. It is the place for you. And what you go through there is nothing less than a transformation. We're going to be back with Michelle right after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You are a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams sitting in for Steve Arterburn today, and we're talking with Michelle. Michelle, you are taking care of, and really the family for, sounds like two people in your area, two family members that just don't have a whole lot of abilities or have great limitations in giving back relationally. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And what would be the question for us today?
Well, how to love these difficult people. And this has been something that has weighed heavy on me for a long time. And I have talked to my therapist about it, but she takes the position of, well, you know, you don't have to do anything. Do you get anything back? She'll ask me, and I'll say no. And then, well, you don't need to have a relationship with them.
Okay. Well, let's So how?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go with this: how to love these difficult people that you don't get really anything back from. Alice, what do you think?
Right. Well, sister, you and I are kindred spirits in this area, as you know. So, I am happy that you're calling about this. I think your confession you made about, I realized I was looking for what I was going to get out of this, and that may have been a selfish view of it. we have to ask God, what do you want from me in this relationship? Because these people, my holy sandpaper folks too in my life, they may be the ministry God is calling us to, that we are to love these people and not expect, even know going in, I'm not getting anything out of this conversation. I am going to give, and it will probably drain me and frustrate me and irritate me, and I'm choosing to do it anyhow. But we can make those choices when we're fueled up to do so. So I know I can't try to minister to my holy sandpaper people when I'm too tired, when I'm too hungry, when I'm already irritable. Those aren't the times I can do it. I have to go into them intentionally when I am filled up, because when there's enough love in me that it can overflow to those people, then I know I'm in a better place to allow God to use me as a channel of his grace to them. So ask God, what does he want from you? And then make a decision to minister to them if he leads you in that direction at a time where you are strong and able to do that, able to give without getting anything in return.
Okay.
Do you hear? And so I think that in that, Michelle, it's like the expectations need to change. You know, if you're...
well, I know, I've always known that they can't give anything back.
Yeah.
You know, and I...
But who are the people in your life? Do you have people in your life where you do feel like, hey, when I'm around these people, my relational fuel or my relational tank gets refueled?
There are. I have a lot of friends and family members, you know, healthy relationships, but I also have 2 nephews that I don't have a relationship with. And as I've been on hold, I've looked back in my past, and there are people that, for whatever reason, and I don't really know why, it's like it's not comfortable for me, or I don't have anything in common with them, or, you know, but they're family, and I feel very guilty.
Okay, but
not,
Michelle, let me jump into that. Okay, that speaks to the expectations. So we carry all these rules about family that get unquestioned, whether they're healthy or not. Like I should feel this way. I should be this way. But should and is are 2 different things. Should is a fantasy, and is a reality. And we're really called to deal with reality. But, you know, there's some family members we may be closer with, and some family members we don't. And so it's important that we let ourselves off the hook and having all of these expectations that every relationship will be close, or have this, you know, this expectation that doesn't fit the reality of the relationship. Milan, you were going to say something.
Well, Michelle, I have people that are in my life long range, and then I have people that are in my life weekly that are not enjoyable to be around. But it's like Alice said, I believe God has maybe, and I put in the word maybe because Alice suggested that you ask God the question, is this somebody you want me to minister to? But they come into my life, and God wants me to do something with them. That's what I've concluded. And so he has me there for a reason. But then I have to be the one, I'm introducing a new concept here, I have to create the boundaries for how long I'm going to be with them. So I will say to someone, you know what, I have time to do a 15-minute phone call on Monday. And do you have 15 minutes? We could just touch base. And I put a limit on it so that I don't get myself into something that is like a hole of quicksand, and I'm going in deeper and deeper and deeper. Before the event, I set up the time frame that I could, you know, give to that person. And then I realized there's a bunch of people I talk to every week that is not enjoyable for me to do, but I do it because I feel God wants me to do that. The social awkwardness that you feel may be something you need to discuss with your therapist. How long have you felt that way? Where does that come from? How did that occur? And that's something else that's a different story.
So, Michelle, we have a great resource for you. It's called People Fuel. It's going to really help you understand the people that drain you and the people that fill you and how to relate differently to each one of those. So thank you so much for calling in. People Fuel is coming your way, and we'll be back right after this.
God pulled me out of the gutter of my life that I was living in.
I have done a lot of work over the last 40 years. This is the first time I've ever felt love.
I've had such a wonderful weekend here, and for the first time in a long time, I've felt at home.
And the Lord has set me free from my mother's story about me not being good enough.
The New Life Finding Freedom Workshop is coming to Dallas, Texas, September 20th to the 22nd.
We're going to talk about forgiveness and codependency. We're going to understand that family of origin, the unhealthy reactions to it. We're going to talk about the cycle of shame and surrender and developing the plan that moves us forward. There'll be 8 teaching sessions and 6 small group sessions.
To register or to learn more about the Finding Freedom Workshop, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
I am living a new life, and I believe that I have the resources and tools to continue that.
Last year, after Every Man's Battle, I was so moved by the transformation that I saw, not only in myself, but in the guys in our small group and the other people that were there and the stories that I heard, that I decided to go ahead and join Club New Life as a contributor to that.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
You guys are doing God's work here. You're restoring marriages. You're giving people hope. It's just been such a blessing to me, and I just wanted to encourage you all. When you see something good that God's doing, just jump on that and help support that.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433.
Give your support to them if you can, and just help them do what God's doing here in the world.
Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. In studio today, myself, Chris Williams, and for Steve Arterburn.
Mm-hmm.
I should mention that. Mm-hmm. And I have Dr. Alice Benton and Milan.
Chris.
Milan.
Chris.
Hey, you've been teasing me with a scriptural insight all morning. I want to hear it.
Well, you asked me a question. You said, it's interesting when there are, what was the phrase?
There's these like scriptural nuances.
Yeah.
That once you kind of miss it for a long time, but
Right.
once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right. Well, I thought of one this morning. I just happened to read it this morning before I came into radio. It's in 1 Peter chapter 1. Therefore, prepare your minds for action. Be self-controlled. Set your hope fully on the grace to be given you when Jesus Christ is revealed. As obedient children, do not conform to the evil desires you had when you lived in ignorance.
Mm.
And I don't think enough in church or just generally in life, we don't stop and ask, what was the nature of my programming that I grew up with? And what Peter is saying here is, all of us are trained in a way that is not oriented toward God, therefore it is ignorant, it is without knowledge. And so, but these are patterns that have been put into us, beliefs, expectations, thoughts, reactions, hopes, fantasies. And we don't often stop and ask, what's my operating system?
Yeah.
Where'd it come from?
Yeah.
And part of being not conformed to the world is to say no to my operating system that was imposed upon me by other people once upon a time when I was helpless to resist and I didn't have a voice. But now we do. And so God is saying to put off the things that we were trained in ignorance. And this show, New Life Ministries, and this ministry is one of those things that brings up difficult topics that are not obvious, that you're not going to hear anywhere else in the world. You're not going to hear it on TV. It's not going to be a movie, whatever. It's going to be about those things about us that aren't healthy.
Yeah. And really looking at what drives these unhealthy, ungodly behaviors, attitudes, and patterns in our life.
And where'd they come from? And they came before people in my family maybe knew Christ, and where'd they come from?
Well, and I oftentimes say that sometimes authenticity is overrated if our authenticity, meaning that our programming, is destructive. We need to discover a healthy authenticity,
right?
And it may not feel quote unquote authentic. So people of addiction, we find that, man, being sober doesn't feel authentic. It feels strange and foreign and weird. Well, we just need to adopt a new authenticity here. And so, yeah, I hear that in that,
So we're overcoming ignorance.
Yes. And living into and leaning into God's wisdom that leads to flourishing.
We have to learn something entirely new.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that, Milan. Let's go to Victor in Boston, Massachusetts, listening on WEZE. Victor, are you there?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How can we help you today?
Yeah, I have a question about my sister's husband, my brother-in-law, passed away recently last month. While we were talking over the phone, I happened to ask her, was he born again? And she said, oh, yes, he was saved and everything. And now, he was known to have a couple of girlfriends when they were married and do some other things that was kind of ungodly. I myself had a problem with him back in 2006 about something. He called my brother a bad name, and I told him to be quiet. But she basically was sticking up for him. She didn't seem to really want to believe what I said and want to believe, certain things. My question is that whenever I go over her, and because she lives with my mom, when I go over their house, something seems to pop up about him, and I don't really want to answer it sometimes because it'll start, disagreement or an argument. So I'm trying to figure out what I should do as far as staying away or just say how I really feel. I'm not really sure.
No, well, Victor, this is a complicated picture here because your brother-in-law has passed away. He's moved on. And yet there is unresolved stuff. There's unresolved conflict between you and him. And so, and your relationship to him is different than his wife's relationship and other people. So it presents a really hard and messy picture. And I just kind of want to start with something of, we talk a lot about here on New Life, and that is truth and grace. There is the truth that you have some concerns or even hurt feelings, some disagreements between you and your brother-in-law. And that there was some of his behavior that wasn't on the up and up. But that will never be resolved. And the grace piece is, how do we forgive and move on when someone's not there physically to forgive? Alice, what do you think?
Victor, when you said something always pops up and you don't know how to answer it, I wondered what that meant. Is your sister asking you questions about her deceased husband that you are unsure how to answer?
Well, she a few days ago, they were talking, her and my mom, and about the insurance payments and this and that. And I kind of just asked her, I said, well, why is it that you still don't have this all sorted out? And and she basically said, well, we were talking about it, and then he passed away. And they were married for 25 years, a quarter of a century. And I don't know everything that went down, of course, because me and him didn't have the greatest of relationships.
But Victor, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to interrupt to draw you back because I need to understand that piece you shared before. When they talk about him or the insurance, what happened between the two of them, what's the pressure or what's the questions that they ask you that puts you in that strange position of whether or not you should talk about these negative things you know about your brother-in-law?
Well, my thing basically, when they were saying certain things in front of me, I just was questioning my sister. Why didn't she do that when he was alive? And she'll give me a roundabout answer, or she'll act like she don't want to answer. And I was saying to myself, maybe I shouldn't even come over here because, it doesn't really make too much sense to me, because I'll bring up a scripture or something, a godly man should do. And I don't know, it's like she wants to challenge me on it. Our mother says that she doesn't talk to him
Victor, let me jump in. Let me jump in here, man. What you're experiencing is they have certain behaviors that you don't like, but you cannot control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's going to build up resentment inside of you. And so you're asking them questions that they have no possibility of changing whatsoever, right? Like, why didn't you do this when he was alive? It's like, I don't know. Can't go back and do that now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Milan, what do you think?
Well, Victor, it feels like you're the one who is the challenger to that family system. You see, and the question is, do you need to even ask those questions? You see, it sounds like you're the one that walks into their house and you're the one that knows the right thing to do. I'm the one that must dispense biblical truth, and so I am the truth teller here. And what I'd like to suggest is, I think while a lot of us may know what truth is, I think there's a time to not say anything, to be quiet, she has a belief about her previous relationship to her husband. And if her husband passes away, then they're at a very unsettled period of time, and there's just a lot of confusion that happens when a person passes away. And maybe part of the problem you're facing is, I feel like I must say something that represents Scripture and truth, as opposed to just going in and being quiet and letting them talk and commenting as you may, but not feeling as though you have to correct them. I think we have to be careful with that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, Victor, you hear that? Like, we mentioned that there's this great verse in James: be slow to anger, or quick to listen,
slow to speak,
slow to anger, and slow to anger.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great verse for you.
Yes.
We're going to send you a resource, Forgiving What You'll Never Forget. David Stoop really helps us enter into this, and because your job right now is to love through the grief that your family is experiencing, and you have it in you to do that. And Victor, thanks for calling in. We'll be right back.
I came into this thinking that my husband was the cause of many of our issues.
The New Life Intimacy and Marriage Workshop is coming to Columbus, Ohio, October 25th to the 27th.
But after learning about our attachment styles, I understood how our past hurts were playing into our present problems.
Join Steve Arterburn.
It's been a dream of mine for a long time to help people to grow more intimately together, and we believe that everybody has room to grow in the intimacy level of their life.
And Milan and Kay Yerkovich.
We help couples understand how their attachment style is sabotaging their current relationship, and then we teach them how to create comfort in a relationship.
To register or to find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or go to newlife.com.
Here at this workshop, we had our first ever conversation without yelling, blaming, and accusing.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to
fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Chris Williams in studio for Steve Arterburn. And I just want to mention, we do have Every Man's Battle coming up September 13th in Houston. We also, I just want to plug this, especially since we have Milan Yerkovich in studio today, but Intimacy in Marriage, October 25th in Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
You just did a couple weeks ago, an Intimacy in Marriage. What is, if there's one thing that you could let listeners know about their experience, what they would experience in their marriage through this weekend, what would that be?
Well, 3 things. They're going to hear different people talk. They're going to hear Steve Arterburn. They're going to hear me. They're going to hear my wife, Kay. The 3 of us present lecture sessions that are short but very impactful. Then they're going to experience a small group with a great therapist who will sit with them and process the material they've heard. And they will work with some other couples, and they'll be in a group with 2 or 3 or 4 other couples. And all of a sudden they begin to develop empathy, compassion, insight, truth-telling even in that group. And that group is a means whereby they grow as well. And we see massive difference in the audience from Friday afternoon when they get there and Sunday at noon when they leave. It's so exciting to see the change that occurs because things are presented to them that they won't hear anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. And I found even in my own marriage that there were things that I didn't even know how to talk about and wasn't aware to talk about. And Intimacy in Marriage and How We Love helped me find the language, especially through the comfort circle, to have conversations I needed to have, but didn't know how to have them.
So we base a lot of what we talk about around the book How We Love, but then we really add the sexual element into that workshop as well. So intimacy is not just sexuality, it is emotional, spiritual, relational intimacy that then leads to a better sexual intimacy and a better negotiated sexual intimacy.
That's good. Excellent. Well, let's get another call in, and let's go to Gigi in Columbia, Maryland, listening on WAVA. Gigi, are you there?
Yes, hello. Nice to talk to you guys finally.
Well, good.
Every day.
Yeah, well, Gigi, tell us what's going on.
I have a huge problem. I was dating a gentleman on and off for 3 years, and I'm a Christian. I go to church. He doesn't go to church. The problem is when he was married, he met a woman, and the woman turned out to be his best friend, which is his rock. So he introduced the woman at the time to his ex-wife, was his wife, and she accepted it. So every woman he's dated in the past accept it. And he also have 3 other woman friends he spent alone time with.
How many male friends? Hold on. How many male friends does he have?
2. But 3, 4, but he rarely hangs out with them. He says he prefer a woman because that's what he gets along better with. But I said to him, this is disrespectful because she's the one that set us up. She's a hairdresser. She set us up. We got into an argument because she was complaining that I'm taking too much time away from her. I'm spending too much time with him. So she told him that she doesn't want me to spend time with him and her together. She wants to by herself.
Okay, so
he agreed with it since we don't get along.
So Gigi, just because we're limited on time here, what's your question for us?
Mm-hmm. My question is, how do I know I love him, but, and I broke up with him a month ago, but how do I just break off and just, move on with my life and let him just move on with his, because this is too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Milan, what do you think?
I've been looking.
You know what, Gigi? It is really hard to break away from somebody that you like or you love or someone you're attracted to, someone with vitality, charisma, fun. Once you're connected to them, it's hard to break away from them. But I'd like to suggest that for whatever reason you broke up with him, Gigi, it's probably a good thing. Now, it's going to take time to allow yourself to I like to use the word, sort of adjust or decompress away from him. And there's no easy way to do that except to grieve and to be sad and to realize it's a loss. But it was a great learning experience to say, I'm sure I am glad that A, I'm not married to him. I'm sure glad that B, I didn't make lifetime commitments to this guy. Or, I think you're walking away wisely.
Yes, and it hurts so much because I've been looking for a job for a year and 2 months, and he never knows when we're going to get together again. He allowed his daughter, 14-year-old daughter, to exclude me from 4th of July. Gigi,
I was there. Gigi, can you hear me? Everything else you're adding is confirming your decision to end that relationship. And so I ask you to proactively step into the grief like you're doing today by telling us the story, and you need to keep telling the story to especially safe women in your life. And I want you to be cautious about too much empty time, because when we have empty time, we go back, we fantasize, we want to call them, we want to check up on their social media, we want to drive by their house, see what they're up to, and that pulls us back in, and it's dangerous for us when we're in this kind of position. And I say this because I know I've been there with you. I've been right there with you. So fill your time up with safe women and enjoyable activities to help bridge you to that next season of your life without him.
Got it.
Gigi, this guy is a collector. He collects things, and what he collects is women. But as a collector, he's a consumer. He doesn't give back. Now, he probably
No, he doesn't.
That's right. So for you to expect to get something out, other than maybe he's charismatic and he's charming, but really guys like that don't have any depth to them. It's like going on a sugar diet, and it feels good in the moment, but it leaves you sick afterwards. That's what this guy is. You don't need him. Now, as my own.
Yes, I agree.
But loss is hard. It's always difficult. And so as Alice was saying, this isn't about a relationship with him. This is about a relationship with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's about learning how Gigi can be better with Gigi.
Yeah, okay.
Right? And so when you're better with yourself and your self-worth increases, you start being attractive or start demanding being with people that treat you accordingly to your increased self-worth. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, so you're going to disconnect, detach from this guy, and you're going to connect to Gigi. So Gigi, we're going to send you a book. We're going to send you Take Your Life Back, and this is going to really help jumpstart this. I encourage you, get into a counselor, talk about these things, and get the help that you need. So thank you so much for being with us today here on New Life Live. Thank you, Milan Yerkovich. Thank you, Dr. Alice Benton. I always say that being on this show is great because I learn from professionals I sit with every day. Again, if you have a problem, a concern, a resource that we can help you with, 1-800-NEW-LIFE is that number. And again, thank you for being with us today, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.